By request, here is a short tutorial on how to play Devil May Cry 3. The primary means of combat in Devil May Cry will always be your melee weapons. They deal the most damage and are the easiest way to stun your enemies and get in big combos for a lot of style points. To use a melee weapon, and to use it effectively, you'll need to learn how to use combos. Combos are performed by using the melee button and using specific timings for the combos. In general, pressing the melee button successively will do a basic combo. Every melee weapon has its own set of combos. Rebellion, the default melee weapon, has a second combo that can be used for crowd control. To use this combo, simply press the melee button once, then wait a moment, hit the melee button twice again. By using this timing, Rebellion as well as other weapons also benefit from a second combo. As stated before, every melee weapon has its own set of combos. Cerberus, the second weapon that you get in the game for Dante, is a fast attacking weapon that you can use to stun your enemies constantly and get a lot of style points with. Rebellion's second combo works great at crowd control, but Cerberus' second combo works great as a single target, fast attack, and heavy damage combo. Anything caught in front of this combo will take a ton of damage, and you get plenty of style points to boot. To use this combo, it's similar to Rebellion's. Use the first two attacks with Cerberus, wait a second, and then just simply keep meleeing. Combat movement is all determined by what you're targeting in the game. To use targeting, simply use R1 or the right bumper depending on your controller to target an enemy. This will target the closest enemy to you and also display a cursor over them. Don't be fooled by just the cursor is actually also their health bar. While targeting, it's also important to note that you can change your targets at any time by pushing down on the left analog stick. This is the same for any controller. It'll always cycle the targets that you have on your screen. One of the most basic types of moves that you'll learn early in the game is a launcher. Not all weapons have launchers, but most do. Rebellion's launcher, in particular, is very easy to execute. Simply hold back and press the melee button while you're targeting an enemy. This will send your enemies flying. You can follow up your launchers in several different ways. The most basic and simplistic way to follow up a launcher is to just use your guns to suspend the enemy in the air and kill them eventually. This won't get you many style points, but it'll get the job done. To do it, just launch an enemy up in the air, keep your target on them, and unload on them with the gun button. One of the most effective ways to follow up a launcher is by actually following your enemy into the air. To do so, send the enemy up into the air with the launcher, but hold the melee button down while you do so. Dante or Virgil will fly into the air, where you can then attack them by suspending them in the air with your guns or melee weapons. Most melee weapons have an ability that will allow you to close the distance between you and your target. Stinger, Rebellion's ability, is simple to execute. To do so, simply target your enemy, hold your left analog stick facing towards them, and then press the melee button. Another type of basic combo that you'll learn how to do is a crazy combo. These moves are performed by performing the second combo string for any weapon. After doing so, keep mashing the melee button over and over and over, and Dante will start breaking out into a flurry of attacks on his enemy. Every melee weapon has a crazy combo. Be aware when you're using these attacks, they'll leave you open and vulnerable to enemies around you. They're better off against a single target when you need a lot of damage to be dealt out in a short amount of time. We talked a bit about damaging your enemies, but what about staying alive? Dodging is just as important as doing damage to your enemies. One of the most basic moves that you can use to stay alive is dodging. To dodge an enemy's attack, target them, push the directional stick in the direction that you want to dodge in, and press the jump button. When dodging an enemy's attack, be aware that there's actually attack frames, just like in a fighting game. You can actually have invincible frames whenever you jump or dodge roll, as well as Trickster's dash ability. You can see here that I dodged just at the last second, even though the scythe actually makes contact with Dante. Another important aspect of the movement is that both in and out of combat, you're able to jump off of objects as well as your enemies. To do so, simply press the jump button when you're close enough to them. As you make contact with an object or an enemy, you'll see a puff of smoke appear. This will indicate that you've made your second jump, and it won't cost as a second jump for you. You can still double jump if you have the ability to do so. Another aspect of combat in Devil May Cry is the Devil Trigger gauge. Using Devil Trigger will not only increase your speed and attacks, it'll also make you more resilient to damage. One more aspect of Devil Trigger is that you can use a Devil Trigger explosion to deal out a ton of damage to all the enemies in your immediate vicinity. It's very easy to do. Simply hold down the Devil Trigger button until as many runes as you wish are glowing in the Devil Trigger gauge. Once these runes are lit up, release the Devil Trigger button and you'll do damage to everything around you. This will also shorten the amount of time that you have in Devil Trigger, but it's well worth it. Knowing combos and everything is great, but there's a lot more to combat than that. One of the main aspects of Devil May Cry is the style meter. To get a lot of orbs, or style points for any mission, which will get you higher ranks, you'll probably need to use some switching. The most basic form of switching is by quick switching your weapons on the fly. You can do this with both guns and melee weapons. There's a lot of advantages when switching your weapons. 1, you'll cancel out any attacks that you are currently using, and 2, your combo meter will reset depending on which combos you're using. Using the same combos over and over will not net you many combo points, nor will it get you many style points. Changing up your combos constantly will keep your style gauge rising. A great way to keep yourself alive and to change out of combos quickly is to cancel your attacks. You can cancel just about any attack, although there are some exceptions. To cancel an attack, all you'll need to do is use another move while the attack is going through. Several of these methods appear to be jumping, dodging, rolling, or using a style attack. You can also cancel out of gunshots too. This is very effective when using things like Ebony and Ivory and Spiral as a combination. We talked a bit before about being able to jump off of objects and enemies. This effect forms the basis of jump canceling, which is a pretty advanced technique that I'm not even that great at. By pressing your character up against an enemy while they're in midair, using the jump button quickly after an attack will cause you to cancel out of your attacks. This will make it incredibly easy to link together the same attack over and over and over. Not all weapons can do this, but some can. It's a very, very powerful form of attack. And this will always net you a lot of style points and do a ton of damage to the enemy. Jump canceling timing is pretty tricky to get, but the easiest way to practice with it is using Beowulf's Killer Bee attack, and by pressing the jump key as soon as you make contact with an enemy. The last aspect of combat that we've yet to explore is the style button. The style button will activate a style attack or move depending on which style you have selected for your character. These attacks or moves depend on your level as well, and obviously a higher level will result in stronger or better attacks. The Swordmaster style allows you to do more damage and do a lot more with your melee weapons. It passively increases the amount of damage you do with your melee weapons as well. This also grants you a set of new moves that you can use for any melee weapon that you have equipped. Here we can see that we're using an attack for Rebellion where Dante flings his sword at the enemy, as well as a move with Cerberus where I shoot out a ton of ice crystals from the ground at any surrounding enemies. Level 3 Swordmaster is even more impressive. You get the ability to do some of the strongest moves in the game with your melee weapons. Dance Macabre with Rebellion, as well as Ice Age with Cerberus, are two of the strongest attacks that you'll learn. Trickster is the basic style that a lot of people end up using because they don't realize that they can change their style at the start of the game. Trickster is a great way for beginners to learn the game because it allows them to stay more mobile and a lot safer in combat. The basic moves for Trickster include dashes, of which you can have 3 of at level 3. At level 2, you're also granted the ability to do an air dash, jump into the air, point in a direction, and press the style button to dash through the air, away, or towards an enemy. At level 3 as Trickster, you're granted the ability to essentially teleport to the enemy that you have targeted. To do so, target your enemy, push the directional pad in the direction of your enemy, and press the style button. Dante will actually appear in front of them, or as close as he possibly can. At all levels, Trickster also has the ability to run up walls. It's very easy to do. Simply aim yourself at a wall vertically and press the style button. Additionally, you can also run horizontally across walls. To do so, keep running at a wall, jump, and then press the style button. The Gunslinger style is a way of adding more moves to your ranged weapons, as well as passively increasing the amount of damage that you do with any ranged weapon. The most basic move granted with Gunslinger is the ability to aim your ebony and ivory pistols in 2 directions at the same time. This not only does more damage with the guns, but also grants you the ability to attack multiple targets. Depending on the level of Gunslinger that you have, you'll be able to charge your gunshots into stronger bullets. To do so, simply hold down the ranged weapon button, and you'll notice that Dante's hands begin to glow a dark red. With Ebony and Ivory, you also have the ability to keep yourself suspended in the air even more indefinitely than you could before. Jump into the air and use the style button to spin around in a cyclone as you fire bullets down on any enemies below you. Pressing the style button while equipped with a shotgun will also rain bullets all around you as you either jump in the air or stay situated on the ground. This is very effective at clearing out enemies that have closed in around you, especially when you have multiple enemies at all directions. One of the most useful abilities with Gunslinger is the ability to use the Gunstinger ability. This move, used with the shotgun, is performed by using the same movement as the Stinger attack. However, instead of pressing the melee button, press the style button with the shotgun equipped. Dante will charge at the enemy using the Stinger attack, but hit them with the shotgun blast instead. This can be followed up with 3 more successive blasts from the shotgun. The 4th default style in the game is Royal Guard. I could go on and on for hours about Royal Guard, but I'll only talk about the basics here. It's a very complicated style that relies on both defensive and offensive capabilities. The best way to describe Royal Guard is a style that allows you to redirect the damage that would have initially been done to yourself at your enemies. Holding down the style button with Royal Guard will cause Dante to stand in a defensive position. This will only cause minor damage to occur. However, there are much more effective ways of using the style. At its core, Royal Guard relies on the player having impeccable timing for when attacks are going to hit them. By pressing the style button with Royal Guard, immediately as an attack lands, you'll be granted a flash of light depending on how well you timed it. For any attack successfully blocked in this manner, you'll gain rage points. You can see your rage points build up by looking at the orbs for your Royal Guard gauge. They appear as the green orbs in the top left-hand corner. After building up rage, it's necessary to release it. To do so, wait until an enemy is about to attack you, then hold down the targeting button, the direction of the enemy, and press the style button. If you time it just right, Dante will release a very fast attack, dealing a lot of damage to anything in his way. This attack is best used with lots of rage. The more rage, the more damage it does, and the better timing you have, the more damage it does. At level 3, Royal Guard also gets the ability to use the Ultimate, which is a move that will allow you to block any incoming projectiles. This ability works great against enemies like Enigmas. Thanks for watching this short tutorial for Devil May Cry 3. If you have any questions, comments, or just would like to learn some more, feel free to message me on YouTube or wherever else might be possible.